Hello and welcome to this week's For Your Ears Only. Daniel asked me through Patreon, who would be your pick for the next England coach? And to be honest with you, that's far too easy. So I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to actually do is I've written up a long list, and it is a very long list. So here's all the different names that I think could be in the frame for it. Some real left field people there as well. And I'll let you know who I think at the end, which one would be my favourite choice to do it. Well, first up, could Eddie stay on? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, he's still signed up for another 2 years and then supposed to do a handover. But hey, if he won the Rugby World Cup, is there a chance that he could stay on? We'll have to wait and see. Personally, having looked at Eddie Jones's past record, he's a quick bounce and then has an issue kind of coach. Now, you could say injuries are what's caused it this time, but he doesn't tend to stick around for more than 4 years. I mean, 4 years is quite a long stint for him. So, personally, no, I think it's probably about time for him to go after this. There's some coaches, and John Mitchell is currently in there and is an option. A lot of people are saying that he is actually the next England coach. Whenever I mention that to people like Archman and Stephen, who do my shows here, they remember him as the head coach for the All Blacks, and they're like, "Oh my word, no!" Now he's done a good job with England, but he's only not been there for a short while. And having seen his experiences in the USA for the Bulls and in other places, no, Mitchell is not someone I would want to have in the setup. Other kind of experienced international coaches, Gatland has been talked about, and you've got to say that he would be a very good fit from a skills point of view. And he's taken the Lions on 2 tours, drawn one and won the other. So he's used to working with a bunch of the England players already. And they don't seem to have any sort of big issue with him. So, pardon me, Warren Gatland has all the credentials, has all the CV. If he doesn't get a Super Rugby position or even part of the All Blacks setup, then maybe he could end up there. And yeah, so he has definitely has a CV to do it. Other international or people have been part of that. Gustard has been part of the England setup and is doing a very good job at Quins in his first head coaching role. So he also did a good job with working with Eddie. So one I wouldn't be necessarily totally anti, but he does lack that head coaching experience, and definitely, but he does have experience of how the international setup works and how England work as well. Sean Edwards falls into that camp. So with another defence coach that's aware of how the international things work, but he hasn't got head coaching experience. There is talk that he's actually going to go to Wasps rather than head back to rugby league. But let's just see where that hangs out. He would definitely be a very much a long shot in that one. The Jake White is someone that always gets thrown around. He always throws his name into the ring for these kind of ones, but that would be a no for me. I wouldn't want him involved. Another person actually that isn't actually on my list but was mentioned and we think about was someone like Vern Cotter. Could be a good choice. Obviously, he did a good job up at Scotland. His experience in France, so he could be one that I wouldn't be totally anti. Definitely an outside choice though. So who else have I got on my list here? Richard Cockerell. Start talking about club coaches. Obviously, been very successful with Leicester Tigers, doing a very good job at Edinburgh. But the way he left Leicester Tigers, and I think he's got an abrasive character that I don't think the hierarchy at Twickenham are a big fan of. Other people that were sort of mentioned, Jim Mallender was someone who was mentioned when Eddie Jones got picked, but obviously his latter years at Saints, I think we'll probably discount him. Dean Richards is one that people have talked about as well. But his Bloodgate thing means that he'll never make it as an international coach, however good a coach he has been. So yeah, it's a shame that has blotted his career in the way, because I think he could have made a good England coach. Who else have I got on this list? Andy Farrell is on here, but obviously he's signed with Ireland, and so I don't think that England could get him out of that contract. I think, yeah, he's happy being over there. And people have talked about going back for Stuart Lancaster, but I think once bitten, twice shy for Stuart. But I wouldn't actually mind bringing him in as, if you went for a inexperienced coach or a not as experienced coach, then bringing him in as a sort of senior assistant coach doing the attacking role or something like that. I could see that being a good one. So for example, if Steve Borthwick were to step up from his assistant coach role now to being the head coach, then if you brought in someone like Stuart Lancaster to help him, that wouldn't necessarily be such a bad move. But again, that's a real long shot, because Steve Borthwick, again, hasn't ever done a head coaching role that I'm aware of. Someone who is in the RFU setup that's in coaching roles is Dean Ryan. Someone that I would personally not want to get it, but he is a name that has been thrown around. He is in the RFU setup, so there is a possibility that he could sneak into it as a sort of maybe kind of like Lancaster's way, maybe go in as a caretaker coach and then take over, and then do well and take over full time. It's not one that I would like to see happen, but it's one that I could see, again, another outside choice that I could see happening. Another coach that hasn't done, hasn't had a head coaching role, but is getting up a very, very good CV and has a lot of plaudits, is Ronan O'Gara, but I can't see him taking the England role or wanting the England role as a head coach. He has talked that he wouldn't mind being an assistant coach as part of Razor's. If Razor gets the head coach role and being part of his team. So you never know, maybe Ronan O'Gara would be interested in doing an assistant role, but I can't see him wanting to be the England head coach. I can't see England wanting to go for him either. A few other Southern Hemisphere names. Dave Rennie at Glasgow has been talked about. Dave Rennie's best years in New Zealand were when he had Wayne Smith with him. Now Wayne Smith is currently coaching in Japan. So yeah, I'm not convinced that Dave Rennie is a top coach. His 2 wins in Super Rugby came with Wayne Smith as an assistant coach. So yep. Wayne Smith obviously gone to Japan and has won the league there, done very well, but I don't think he'd want to have an international coaching role. Scott Robertson, he's signed up for the Crusaders, so if he doesn't get the All Blacks role, he'll stay here. He won't. I think prizing him away from that, well, you'd have to buy him out of his contract with New Zealand Rugby, so I can't see that happening. So just a couple of names, and I've actually realised I've forgotten to write down the guy's name. I've gone blank. So is the of domestic coaches have done very well. Someone like Mark McCall, for example, at Saracens has done very well. I'm surprised his name doesn't come up more in these kind of discussions. A lot of the players that play for England are part of his setup. He knows them. He's come through with them he's coached them through the years. So that would be good to see. I wouldn't be anti Mark McCall getting it either. Joe Schmidt, he's taking time out, so that's why I haven't bothered including him in here. And actually a couple of left field ones I hadn't really thought about that we might have thrown in there. That sort of Pat Lambs and Chris Boyd's are potential as well. But like Dave Rennie for Chris Boyd, I'm not sure that he's. I'd want to see him do more in Europe. Pat Lamb, done very good jobs with lesser budgets and things, and building up teams. It'd be interesting to see if he could take Bristol on to the next level, then maybe. But the person that I would like to see, and I'll be honest, this does come. There is a heart in this one, as opposed to as well as head. I mean, Gustard to me probably has the best CV for. Not Gustard, sorry. Gatland probably has the best CV for it. Will probably be the best fit at the end of the day if we've got a totally unemotional head on. But the person I would like to see is Rob Baxter, be the next England head coach. I think he'd like to win the European Cup with Exeter first before doing it. He's not that older coach, saying he's got time in his hands. He doesn't have to necessarily get it this time round. But yes, Rob Baxter is the guy that I would like to see as the next England coach. I think he's done a fantastic job down in Exeter. Whether he'd want it, I know he has ruled himself out, but I think it's partly there is just to get the media frenzy away from you, and not have those distractions around the club. More than anything else. I think if England actually came knocking, I think he'd be very interested. He has gone on tour with England as an assistant coach before to Argentina, and he has said before, look, it would have been hypocritical of him not to have taken that role, because he says, look, if you're going to challenge the players to be as good as they can be, as coaches, we should be stepping up and living those words, not just do as you say. And actually living and breathing them. So, Rob Baxter is the guy that I would like to see as next England head coach. There you go. Thanks very much for everyone being Patreons and supporting me. It does mean the world to me. Please tell all your friends or any friends that you think might be interested. Actually, all your friends, no, if they're not interested in rugby, don't bother, because, hey, they'd be bad people to try and get onto Patreon. But any of your friends that you think might enjoy this stuff and enjoy the stuff I'm doing behind the exclusive stuff for you guys, then please let them know. Tell them it can be just for as little as $1 a month. They don't have to sign up for a tier. They can sign up for the minimum amount. All Patreons would be much appreciated if you can spread the word. Hope you enjoyed my little chat through the extremely long list of potential coaches for the England head coach. Are there any names that I've missed off that you think that could be on there as viable contenders? I think I've probably covered just about all the bases with that. But let me know down below if I miss anybody.